you have to look at other form of entertainments and not look at sport, but look at Marvel in particular and how they are running their brand into the ground by just constantly flooding the market with content, and no one can keep up with it.
Welcome to the Football Ramble Mailbag, everybody. It's Saturday, 18th of November. I'm Marcus Speller.
I'm Jim Campbell.
I'm Pete Donaldson.
And I'm Vidushin Huntaraja.
Welcome to our second ever Football Ramble Mailbag, everybody. Thank you for all the kind words after the first edition 2 weeks ago, and to everyone who's got in touch since. A reminder that if you want to get involved on the mailbag, you can tweet us on X at Football Ramble, message us on Instagram at Football Ramble, and of course you can email us, show@footballramble.com. It's the mailbag, gentlemen. Pete and Jim, it's your first time on the mailbag. How does it feel?
Great. It feels like Saturday morning TV.
Yeah, it feels like Sunday school.
First time you and I have done a Saturday ramble, which is mad outside of tournaments. So not at all. But
yeah, I'm on a come down after watching the Crystal Maze all last night. And Friends.
Yeah, glad you said Maze after Crystal.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being on that in the Crystal Maze.
Oh, that is a crossover that we desperately need.
I've got to hoover all the sand up in the Aztec zone.
That is Trump's America too. Where all of the laws get cut to ribbons. You can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, to the first email, Peter.
From Ray, writing as a concerned England fan. It's no secret that international football is getting less glamorous these days, and my children definitely seem less interested in it than I remember being at their age through the 90s. Do you guys agree? And could this start impacting major tournaments themselves? How does football fix this slide?
More Saudi money. That's how we fix it.
Saudi money.
More is always the answer, isn't it?
Well, that is what FIFA think.
This is the issue, isn't it? I think
Totally.
This is why this is this perception is certainly happening. I have to be honest. I don't know any children who are the age that I was through the 90s.
I don't know any children.
Yeah.
However hard I look.
So
back to Bride Adams, aren't we?
Yeah.
Moving on from that as quickly as possible. I have to take Ray's word for it that this is a thing that's happening amongst that generation. But I think part of it is an accessibility issue, isn't it? In that there's so much of it. In the 90s, when a World Cup was coming up or a European tournament was coming up, this was really the best chance you had to see some of the best players in the world. If Cristiano Ronaldo had been around at the time and playing for Real Madrid, we wouldn't have had access to every single goal that he had, really, in the 90s. I mean, obviously, there was Revista de la Liga in the noughties. I'm not sure exactly when that show started on Sky, but not everybody...
You still got to pay for Sky.
Well, exactly,
Not everybody does.
Exactly. Certainly in the 90s, far fewer people had it. So kids now can do a deep dive on a left back from Belarus that their club might sign really, really easily. And I think that just the access to that level of detail means that naturally things have no mystery to them, right? And that's part of what glamour is, right? An element of mystery is important throughout it. And I don't know actually if you can really do anything about that. And what you should not do, which is what FIFA want to do, is have some sort of tournament, be it international or the mad sort of new Club World Cup thing every summer. That will really take the mystery out of it. And I think actually you have to look at other form of entertainments and not look at sport, but look at Marvel in particular and how they are running their brand into the ground by just constantly flooding the market with content, and no one can keep up with it.
And the stars are kind of like I think there's a kind of malaise about like everyone in Hollywood and everyone in sort of superhero films. Everyone's sexy, but no one's having sex. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much football, but it means nothing.
It's like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the most asexual leading man Hollywood's ever had.
Yes, smooth. A very smooth man.
There's probably nothing down there.
There's
it's just more baldness.
nothing down there, no.
So you want the Marvel films to feature a lot of
I want
shagging?
hardcore
Super
penetration.
shagging? Yes.
I want hardcore. None of your Japanese blurred out stuff. I want hardcore penetrative sex in every Marvel film. Clip this.
Okay.
I will not rest until that happens.
How does the Hulk have sex? Who can the Hulk have sex
exactly.
with?
Yeah.
These are the questions we want
You wouldn't like me when I'm horny.
You and how is this helping raise children?
Well, you got to bring children into this.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, that's what Ray's talking about.
Well,
and also,
don't
how
bring
does it
Ray's
help
children
us
into this.
as a
Ray's
community
not happy.
raise our children as
do you
well?
Do you not think though, Marcus, that it was always the way? In between international tournaments, it was always like this. I remember like school children, more children. God, there's so many children. Being like forced to watch England in the 90s.
Yeah.
And that's all you could hear at Wembley, at the old Wembley. So like, I don't think things have massively changed. I think we've got a really engaged young England team that the kids seem to love. Sorry, apologies about that. The kids seem to love on your TikToks and that. So I think I think we're in living through a generation where actually they do care about.
I think you're probably right. I
tournaments.
think the idea that it's changed massively is probably
No,
not
it's just our
the case.
nostalgia, isn't it?
I think for some reason, I think youth culture, which you could argue certainly in the West was basically sort of like came in the sort of the late 60s, I suppose. And as the generations go by, and now I think people pander. Or at least they think they need to pander like way too much, if you see what I mean. Obviously, you've got to keep everybody in mind. But you see this with FIFA when they sort of, you get these old men saying, oh, well, this is what children want, or this is what young people want, and so on. It's kind of like, well, no, hang on. If you're a child, your attention span is not going to be that of when you're an adult watching World Cups, watching football matches for 90 minutes, etc., etc. Those children, they don't stay children forever. And so, yes, I understand that they're growing up with a lot of different media, and as you have described already. But that doesn't mean to say that when they turn 18 or 21 or 25 or whatever it is, they have an inability to sit down and watch 90 minutes of football. I don't think that major tournaments will be impacted by any of this. I think the only people that will ruin major tournaments are the people at FIFA, expanding the World Cup to 48 teams. Let's see how it goes. I know we're look, it's going to happen. Hence, I say let's see how it goes. I would have voted against it, but I still don't get a vote, sadly. But with tournament football, I think it will always have the charm that it does because it happens so rarely, and it happens in the summer as well. Usually, and it does bring people together in a way. And I think that there is something beautiful about that. And I don't see that would change at all because no matter how old or how young people are, people like hanging out with their mates. So I don't think it will impact on the tournaments itself unless FIFA just mess around with it so much that people go, oh, we'll sod this. But I don't think they will. And also, you've got to remember that in a lot of other parts of the world, hence I keep referencing the Western world, a lot of other parts of the world, the World Cup, they provide. You remember the Peruvian fans in Russia, in Qatar, the Saudi Arabian fans themselves or the Moroccan fans as well. What they brought to the tournament, that does add something to it, and I think that sometimes is intriguing to some people in countries where we are, and it can be inspiring as well. So just because we may think that Western children or whatever you want to, are perhaps, I don't agree with that, but the rest of the world certainly, I would say, don't agree with that either. So I think tournaments are not in danger, other than by those who run them.
Video games. We need better international, solely focused video games about international football because every game coming from Japan was always you had a choice of like 10 teams. And it would always be like there'd always be like a weird like Great Britain team and stuff. But like it would only be international. It'd be ISS, international soccer, superstar soccer. So there wouldn't be a club game because those licenses were really difficult to get. So we just need a new generation of cool games like Actua Soccer. We need games like Virtua Striker. We need games like the first few ISS Pros. So it's video games for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with that. I like video games. More video games.
Okay, so really, Ray, keep plugging away, pal, and I'm sure your children will support England very, very fervently with you at the Euros and at the World Cup.
Kyle in Glasgow has been in touch. He asked this after the chat on the last mailbag about the enshittification of football. He asks, modern football gets a bad press. What is one thing you guys like about it?
One thing to like about modern football, I suppose there are different degrees of this, aren't there? Because modern football extends from, I suppose, the Premier Leagueification of English football.
I would say
right the way down to like
I
Dulwich Hamlet, for example.
Yeah, true, but I think 21st century is what you're looking at here.
No, sure, but I suppose there's different ways of answering this question, is what I mean in terms of
yes.
And I mean the Dulwich Hamlet side in terms of the way that people have moved into that. Move into that fan base, as it were, as just like a nice day out rather than like, hardcore fans, stuff like that.
Yeah, you could say that Dulwich Hamlet, though, is people supporting their local clubs again, which is actually a throwback to decades ago.
Yeah, it is. Like, I know we've spoken about it before, but in terms of so for example, there's an aspect of like bourgeoism within modern football, specifically at somewhere like Dulwich Hamlet, which I quite like because I don't support Dulwich Hamlet. So I'll go there, watch football. I like football. You know, have some.
Love gourmet burgers.
Yeah, have a beer. I like beer. Have some dim sum. I like dim sum.
There you go.
Having a place where I can do all three of those things, brilliant, perfect. I am absolutely of no value to them as a football club beyond what I spend.
Yeah,
which I suppose is quite a modern football fan way of looking at it.
You are the prawn sandwich brigade that Roy Keane had a go at in the 90s.
No, way worse than that.
Yeah,
way beyond that.
Yeah, no, I'm steamed pork and bao buns.
Okay,
yeah.
The spirit of what he was saying is very much aimed at people like you.
Yeah, to a point, but also like I suppose the broader answer then is there are more places to slot in and feel. Basically, there are more places to slot in and have exactly your football experience that you desire. For example, I really like watching football at a pub, but I know part of that is modern football because kickoff times are changed to like Saturday evening 8 p.m, which is a ridiculous time for a game of football. Friday football, a bit of a ridiculous time considering all the travel and the cut down in rest time for the players. But I like going to the pub and watching the football with my mates, and that's like a nice Friday thing that I do, which I know is probably, if you can consider this the way this question was framed, is probably to the detriment of the soul of the game in some way.
I think one of the things about modern football that I like, we like football and we like lots of football. I mean, I know football's played a little bit too much perhaps, but one of the things is the athleticism of the players and the fitness of the players. It's to be hugely admired. And I mean, like is the kind of the slightly wrong word, but
it has improved, I think.
Enormously,
noticeably.
Like, the athleticism of footballers and whatnot over the years has improved, and they're always trying to get those marginal gains. Footballers have always been fit, let's be honest, from way back to the sort of 60s, 50s and whatnot. But now, like they're absolute athletes, prime athletes, and that means the quality of the play is higher. And it goes for longer. Again, the amount of games these players play. Look at the game. Let's take the biggest example, Lionel Messi. The amount of football that man has played over the years. I understand tournaments are a bit longer now. The Champions League has expanded, or did expand. Blah 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 blah. I get it, but the fact is that the athleticism of footballers and whatnot in the modern era, they can by and large cope with that. Yes, there is a tipping point. I understand, but within the realms of being sensible about this, that is what I love, because every time you watch certain teams, certain players, you're going to get something to just marvel at, and whether or not the game is good, the energy levels, the intensity, and all the rest of it is there, and that is something about modern football which I think sometimes we don't fully appreciate. It is incredible, and especially with the South American players. They go off to South America, fly around, blah blah blah. They're back playing at the weekend, going full pelt. It's incredible.
Yeah, I do feel very blessed to have lived through the time where Lionel Messi has had his whole career and continues to have his whole career as well. Because, I mean, I remember growing up hearing older people talk about Maradona in that same way, and there'll never be the like again.
The athleticism,
yeah, well, yeah, no,
well, I mean, to a degree,
but we are talking about the skill here.
Yeah,
I've moved that point on slightly,
yeah.
But the fact I think that he's not someone you would look at in the street and think that's one of the greatest athletes of all time as well. Like, obviously, there isn't. Ronaldo is up there in that argument. They will always be bound together. But Ronaldo is very obviously a show pony.
Absolutely,
he's a thoroughbred. Yeah. But Messi's less so, and that's very, very enjoyable. I would say one of the things that I like about modern football is the way that modern footballers are, in a lot of cases, are a bit more switched on, understand the impact they have with the profile and the platform they have, and they use it well. They're a bit more socially aware at a time where that's really, really important. I thought that this England squad of the Henderson situation aside have been great.
Well, up until recently,
up until recently, absolutely. Yeah, I remember Tyrone Mings calling out Priti Patel on Twitter and essentially telling her not to try and associate herself with the England team, and I love that. I mean, I suppose social media has given players this platform and the opportunity to do it, but I just like that they seem like a likable group of people.
But again, but they've got further to fall when they do fall.
Indeed,
in the World Cup and the armbands and stuff like that. I think I think it's become more Americanized, I suppose, where NFL players feel, more than happy, Copernic backwards, I guess, to express themselves on social media about things bigger than the offside decisions and stuff
different
like
cultures and whatnot. But we are seeing that kind of grow in the 21st. Anything about modern football that you love, Pete?
I just still think
Big
takeovers. I
takeovers?
still think there's a big sort of thread of just stupid stuff. You know what I mean? Like in the same way that everyone's been talking about the Formula One in Las Vegas recently, and I think this morning or last night or something, one of the sewer. What do they call it? Sewer caps? What do you call it? Manhole cover. Like one of the manhole covers just damaged one of the cars because somebody didn't do it properly.
Right.
Didn't sort of went, let's put some cement down that manhole cover. I think that's how they do it. I don't know. And that's stupid. And that's really, there's just a lack of foresight. And there's still stupid stuff happening with the amount of money sloshing around Formula One. And I think when Bayern were winning the Bundesliga last year, I think Cologne were on the attack in one of the matches. And these massive sprinklers just came out the pitch and started spraying everyone. There's always something stupid like that.
Yeah.
At that FA Cup match with
not
the flag.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
That you like in modern football that maybe those stupid things are highlighted because it's so glitzy and glamorous.
Yeah, because the fancier product gets, the funnier it is when it gets a bit village. That's what I like. So there's always something stupid happening.
The inability to eliminate some stupid stuff is what you like about modern
exactly,
football.
because they try and pretend it's this kind of robotic
a dog on the pitch. How's that happen?
Actually, it makes it funnier, doesn't it? So when my girlfriend and I met, she didn't like football. She actively really disliked it.
She liked you, though.
I didn't try to sort of indoctrinate her into football, but it just sort of happened naturally. As obviously this is my job, so we spend a lot of time watching it. I did my best to sort of explain what I loved about it, and a lot of what I love about it, actually, and I think this is the whole reason this podcast exists, is that football is really funny. It's really funny, and the more serious it is, and the more serious it presents itself as, when something stupid happens, which it inevitably does, it makes it all the funnier. And I think you're right, Pete. It's heartening to me that that can't be sterilised.
No,
that sheen
because there's still people involved, isn't there?
We can't get rid of the human condition.
No.
Just one final one from me. The pitches.
Yeah, they're way better.
The pitches make
Carpets.
it so much better. And also, when you see a lovely green pitch, especially on TV, it really pops.
Yes.
Oh, lovely old job.
Smashing. Got a message from Tom Bradstreet. Hey, Tom. After Vish mentioned the Norwegian third-tier side LYNN missing out on promotion by one single goal after winning 10-1, a Ramble listener got in touch who was at the game.
No way.
I was listening to Monday's pod, says Tom, and I couldn't believe my ears when LYNN's 10-1 win against Framlavik featured among the highlights of the weekend. I'm a Brit living in Oslo and a LYNN season ticket holder, and I was at Saturday's game. It was absolutely fucking mental. Before the nonsense kicked off, we were level on points with Egersund, but behind them on goal difference. Unless they dropped points at home against Vard, we need to make up a difference of 5. At half-time, both matches stood at 3-0, so hopes of automatic promotion had all but gone. Hopes finally extinguished when Fram nicked a goal back after the restart. Or so it seemed. It wasn't until we reached 8-1 that the stadium started to believe. With Egersund now winning 5-0, we needed another 3 to pip them to the post. We made it 9-1 in the 89th minute and 10-1 in the 94th, hitting the woodwork in between. The players are running to the stands to ask fans for updates for the other match. Eventually, we just chanted the score from the stands. Alas, we ended up a solitary goal short. The playoff awaits. You won't need persuading, this game was one hell of an experience, but if proof were needed, get this. Less than 2 weeks ago, I was released from hospital after a fairly desperate medical scare that ended with me being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So I made damn sure to bring my blood sugar monitor with me to the big match. I'll tell you now, Sweets and Fizzy Pop ain't got nothing on the beautiful game. My glucose level more than doubled. And that was just at half-time. Try breathing very, very slowly while your club is quite literally racing to score a fuck ton of goals as quickly as humanly possible. Injury time indeed.
Bloody hell.
Cheap insulin out there, though, you'd imagine. Love that show. Love the show. You gave me a good laugh while I was stuck in hospital. So cheers for that. Keep it the brilliant work. Love from the frozen north. Tom. Thank you, Tom. That was fantastic.
Blimey.
Great.
Beautifully written email as well.
What do you think of that, Vish? You were the one that brought this to the Ramble table, and then What a commentary we got there.
I know, yeah. That is wonderfully chaotic. I love the idea of chanting the score from the other game.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's such a good way of doing it.
How do you organise that to sort of do it? Because there was a chant that went round. I can't remember. I think Leeds might have been involved. There was a Leeds fan with chinos on in the opposing stand, and the
Leeds fans were chanting at.
I think it was a Leeds fan with the trousers.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Ah.
So that was the chinoed fan, but like the whole stand started doing 5 or 6 different chants about
very creative,
chinos.
yeah.
It was incredible how they got to
You've got to have a ringleader. You got to have people. But also as well, how many fans were at this game? You've not got 50,000 strong. So
No,
I think
true.
that you'll have a few people updating the score. So if one person just starts going 5-0, 5, you just need 2 or 3, and then it's like, okay, that's what.
But imagine having to deal with like almost a brand new physical affliction. Like not going, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, I know.
My blood sugar's gone mad.
It's like, do you think I just can't be? It's like Danny Glover. I'm too old for this.
I'm too diabetic for this.
Oh, blimey. Yeah, exactly.
So someone else got in touch about another, frankly, extraordinary game recently as a follow-up to this. This is Stephen Hunter. He says, I went to a game between Ballymena United and Coleraine and want to share what happened. 1. After a 1-1 draw on extra time, it took 44 penalties to decide it. All 11 men took 2 turns. 2. After about 30 penalties, ex-Newcastle United academy player Isaac Westendorf seemingly lost count and looked to start a knee slide, thinking his side had won, when in fact they'd pulled a level. 3. The ball was sponsored by meat.
Right.
Just generic meat, perhaps?
Yeah, I want to know what the meat was like.
Got a
was
big
it written
meatball on it?
the ball? Was
Yeah.
it? Was it coloured like a
meatball?
like a big minced meatball?
So good, isn't it?
Wow.
I've got to say, as far as Isaac Westendorf's concerned, I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Because if the referee's a little bit slack, just run off
If
and
it
celebrate.
blows up,
Yeah.
presumably.
And that's it. And that's the game, and we've won. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that is mad. That gets to the point of, you know what? I don't care if my team wins this or not. Just stop.
Yeah.
Just hurry up.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Sorry, Marcus. If you were going to make a ball out of meat, I would choose a Scotch egg kind of configuration.
But then you'd have like the wobbling around in the middle, and they're not.
Breadcrumb's going to come off.
Sorry, you're clearly eating fancier Scotch eggs than I am. It's always hard from the garage.
Oh,
It's always a hard egg.
The garage.
You want a black pudding, right? That's going to have the best purchase. Or the best structural integrity.
What a bowl
of black pudding.
Of black pudding.
I mean, is it meat? Because it's blood, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does that count as meat?
There's enough meat in there, isn't there?
yeah, probably.
Marcus, do you want to come in on this?
Yeah, I'm just sort of thinking. I've had.
Meat round.
Yeah, I think you've covered it.
Yeah.
I'd be foolish to add anything to this, quite frankly. I watched this penalty shootout. I found it.
Right.
And
The whole thing?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, took an awfully long time.
I bet it did.
But I find so. Who is it that said? What is it in penalties? Is it 70-30
Right.
or 75-25?
Whoever goes first or second is that?
No. In terms of scoring to goalkeeper,
Right.
You know, do the 80-20 or 70-30. That's what you're dealing with, I think, in the taker's favour against the goalkeeper. So to have so many scored, that's very high percentage.
Mm.
And
It's impressive.
To be fair, a lot of them that were scored weren't exactly rifle top left. They were like middle of the goal.
Yeah.
A little bit high.
Yeah.
Like,
But I find it incredible that if
keep spending a lot of time on the floor. That's what I'm
but if you're like 8th, 9th, 10th taker,
saying.
you've obviously probably not practiced them that much. You're not
No.
that au fait. Yeah, you just step up and like slot one home. I think it's pretty good. I remember watching the Zuwolfish, Manchester United versus Villarreal in Europa League, when players were going up, and I was thinking, it's because that was a long penalty shootout, and because it was David De Gea that missed, so it went to the whole team. And some players are going, he's the 8th taker. He stuffed it in the top corner.
Yeah.
How's he not?
They're all professional footballers, aren't they? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, but it's still though, like I just sort of think that that's quite impressive. And when somebody misses, when it's I don't know, so what it gets to sort of 12-11. Or say it's 12 all or something, and then somebody misses. You think, finally. Then the other person misses. You're like, go on, Bennett. We carry on.
Does it taint it that the person who missed the last penalty was the goalkeeper, though?
I wouldn't
Was
say
one
it
of the
taints
goalkeepers?
it,
Does it taint it? Feels like a tense.
Well, look at was it Liverpool-Chelsea when Kelleher did he
Actually,
score?
when you go through the whole team, I should know this. I mean, I really should know this. When
Go
you
on.
go through the whole team, do you have to? And everyone has to take a penalty.
You can't make subs in a penalty shootout.
Well, so once you've done 11, do you
Yeah.
have to
You go back
stick
round.
with the same order that you took the penalty?
Yeah, I
in?
believe
yeah,
so,
you
yeah.
have to.
You
You have
go-
to because
you-
you couldn't like front load.
Well, and
it.
you'd want to as well, wouldn't you?
Well, unless
Because
you
you-
made terrible
Well,
decisions in the first round.
Well, no, but I mean, if you've picked your 5 takers and you go all the way back round, you're not going to go. Actually, let's have that lot.
Well,
then."
no, because you
Let's
would,
take two.
you would front load it ideally with the people who scored, wouldn't you? So that might change
Yes.
it somewhat.
Well,
then
but
I-
everyone's scoring or everyone's missing because hence you've gone that far.
yeah, but
More likely
that's
than-
what I mean. That you might front load it with the ones who'd
managed
scored.
to do it,
but
yeah.
but I suppose that's an interesting part of it because if you missed your penalty the first time round, or even if you scored your penalty the first time round, bear in mind that how you have to gear yourself up for taking a penalty in a shootout.
Yeah.
and then think, hold on, I've just used my main thing here.
Yeah.
I've got to choose something else.
Imagine you're a centre half. You've taken your penalty. You've scored it. You're like, brilliant, banked.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah. Go on
I
now.
can sort of relax in myself.
Yeah.
Still anxious for the team, and then you've got to step up
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
That's got to be so much harder than the first one.
Yeah, I'd say so. Well, gentlemen, I think after that mammoth chat about that mammoth penalty shootout, we should end today's mailbag. So thank you very much for listening to the Football Ramble mailbag. We'll be back with another one of these in 2 weeks' time. To get in touch, remember, tweet us on X at Football Ramble, message us on Instagram at Football Ramble, and of course, email us at show@footballramble.com. Join us on Monday, and don't forget to subscribe on your podcast app. Isn't that right, Vish?
Do it.
Yeah. Would you like to say anything to the good people who are enjoying their weekend right now?
Just keep going. It's tiring and
Stick in
the
there.
headache might come, but just
Yeah.
plow through it.
Push on through.
Push on
Yeah.
through, until the wee hours of Sunday morning,
Yeah.
and I'll see you there.
As Liam Gallagher said during COVID, drink through it. Thank you,
Bad
Peter.
advice. It keeps you indoors, doesn't it?
Yeah. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
And thank you, Liam. See you soon.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.